Hello everyone, let's just rewind where we left previous time.
Žydų kapinės. Žiūrėk, Dievas yra. Matai? Guli, blė.
Pip, 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 pip. Hector.
Hello everyone, so in the last video of Vilnius100 trail, we end up somewhere in the middle, where actually Antanas fell over few old cemetery stones there, so apologies if it's not acceptable to ride there. We just went the way path directed us to, but anyways, Antanas has survived that crash. It wasn't that much major, and we continue riding to the actual real start of this course. As mentioned in previous video, we started not from the actual beginning of the course, and here we are approaching the start. You can see the white square in this graph of altitude, and we are at Stalo Hill, Stalo Kalnas. Probably it's not good to translate the location title, so it would be Table Hill. If we translate it, but here we decided to take a picture at the start-finish location, and Ignas was lying on the ground, where we pushed him from top simply because he decided to go back to work, and we had no other chance to keep him with us, so we just punished him for that decision. And right at the start location, there is a path which would lead you towards those stairs. So if you like to hike the bike down on the stairs, you can go there. We personally don't prefer that, so we chose this path on the... you could just see how I approach this area. So it's just a way to skip those stairs, and it's actually downhill course, which is probably even available at trail forks of some, because I saw that it was marked up in the Garmin as Blue Trail, so yeah, it's a trail of some sort. And we are going here near Vilnelė River, which is a very nice stream in the heart of the city. And whenever we reach the point where are public areas, chances are high that we will meet some people, and it was the case, and the main reason why we decided to go this trail on the weekday and not on the weekend. You can see that Ignas goes on stairs like it's nothing. I kind of try to do the same thing as well, but it not always works in the way you could expect. But anyways, this is very minor part in the city which is urban-like to ride. So here we farewell with Ignas. He went back to work, and we continue our journey with Antanas Jurevičius, as well as me, Tomas Bubravičius, aka Tom 10, and we are reaching the Belmontas. There are a lot of nice hills there, so if you're around this area, make sure to check what it has to offer. And you could have seen that was some blue color in front of a camera, so it's like camelback, which I used to take with me when there is longer trips or rides. Basically it's just a backpack which includes container for the water, and you have that external sippage option, so it's good. And also I took a few bottles of water as well during this ride, as well as added some snacks into the backpack, so it was worth taking that backpack in order to just not require to stop somewhere to get some water or even snacks. And you can see that here the lady was running or exercising, and she just lost the dog. And yeah, in such cases, when the dog is going freely, you don't actually know whether you should stop, what you should do. So if you have some ideas, you can feel free to drop in the comments. Maybe it's stopping is the best way. And here we can see that we are approaching Vilnelė once again from a different part of different side of the river. And for those who are familiar with Vilnius, it would be no surprise, but for those who are watching it without knowledge, so on the right there is president's home of current president in Lithuania. So I'm actually not sure whether he lives there currently or he moved away to different location, but basically it's just his home. And yeah, nice place to live for him. And here I'm going off the stairs. It's very nice to have fully for these cases. And you can see that on the left there is stairs which actually direct towards the actual course. If you love going on the stairs, you can go there. Personally, us, we decide that maybe we should try to find a better way, that we wouldn't need to go off the bike. And if you go a bit towards up the hill, there is a corner to the left where you can go uphill, and then eventually you appear in the same area, in the same path. So just a nice thing to think about. And here I even try to go up on the stairs. The fully, it's really nice. I just lost a bit of the torque here, but anyways, it's easy to do that, and it's possible. At the same time, you can see that there are some influencers from Romania. You could have seen the guy and the girl making reels on Instagram where they pronounce Lithuanian words. So I believe this couple was that couple. So yeah, it was on Puchkori, and it has very beautiful panorama view. And here is the same lady which we met previously with dog who's running freely there. A lot of things that's happening, and the reason why I decided to create a separate video for a second part basically is because we actually separated, and from 3 of us were only 2 remaining. So that was one of the reasons. Our way is because the footage was more than 7 hours of it, and choosing which parts to add to the video was very complicated. So in that sense I decided that, well, there are just 2 beautiful shots to not include them there, and I spent that extra time to making this video. And I think that in the end it's worth it to have those for remember. And here I met one of my least favorite animals on the planet when they are angry. So once again, if you have ideas what to do with those dogs who gets in front of you on the downhill, then it would be very nice to have. Because even though if I would have spray, I tend to hear that some people use sprays in such situations. Going on the downhill is just not feasible to use it. So yeah, after you go through that road to Naujoji Vilnia, you should go to the right on the stairs. And actually it's just a stupid way to ride on the bike, because you have to climb upstairs and then you go down to the same road few meters ahead. So maybe you could just cut that part and that's it. And also not to mention that it was also a dog running around, so it wasn't friendly too, so we had to stop and just walk the bikes around him. On the left there are mounds, which are very huge one, and actually climbing on those was very exhausted. And you can see that my BPM, it's the data second from the left, shows 0. Not because I was dead already, it's just because my battery from heart rate monitor died once again. Actually, they are starting to dying too frequently, I guess. But basically I have 2 heart rate monitors and I use one or the other. So if one dies out, then I don't need to immediately replace the battery and I can ride further or just do the exercises. But we're starting to run out too often and it's just tedious to unscrew those small screws. But anyways, that's how it went, and I'm not dead. I'm still on the bike and everything is going fine. Here you will see a very beautiful panorama up front. So these are the things which you get rewarded when you climb on the hills, and it's sometimes the case when something beautiful opens up in front of you. And considering it's autumn, you couldn't have guessed that it was very nice scenery here, even though it was hard to climb. And once again, when I'm using Garmin with auto pause mode, very often than not, it kind of affects how the data looks like. So sometimes it pauses when resuming, and then there are some gaps when the data appears on the screen. Talking about the data, it's at the bottom of the screen. Here we could have seen on the right, there is a beautiful area to take a photo shoot of your e-tron Audi, if you have one. If you don't have Audi or not an e-tron, you could still go to this Putiškių serpentine. It's called, probably it's one of the only actual serpentines in Lithuania, even so keep that in mind. It was repaired a few years ago and now it's completely brand new with cobblestones, and it was with cobblestones as well in the past. Here on the uphill you can see a huge water trenches. I'm not sure what happened here, but imagine if you go from the top and there are a lot of leaves and you don't see such one right at the moment, then you should do that. So that's the reason why I kind of suggest to leave out ideas of going this trail further down in the autumn, because, well, it's just tricky. And considering that there will be more rain towards the end of the autumn and closer to the winter, you will have just more risks of failure. So keep that in mind. Whenever you go towards these type of bridges, you should cross them not straight away, because that way you are causing a risk to put your front, or mostly front tire into the gap and then just going over the bars. So always cross it in the grid way, or how to say that, but you get an idea. Don't go straight and risk of bad failure. Here was a very feng shui Rybiškių pathway climb, so it was a steep one, but we don't have data here because something has happened into exporting of this video. But anyways, you can see that it was pretty much steep. And in front there is a Žaliakalnis hill, where in the winters there is a skiing track, so you could have an idea where this location is based on the surroundings around. At the top right corner, as usual, we have the map of the activity. And here we could have seen that there was a red mark towards the left, but it was kind of not feasible to go without going off the bike. So I decided to just go straight, and maybe there would be some other way towards the left, because the actual course was around that water. So there should have been some pathway there, and it actually was. So that was kind of my guess, and it turned out to be correct one. Here probably it was one of the few areas where we had to cross the road, and even though it took about 3 minutes or so standing in that area of road crossing, it seemed and felt like we were standing there forever. So that was funny thing, but it was not forever at all. And actually we can see that on the right elevation is 1850, but I believe that Garmin had some issues with elevation calculation during the activity, because up front there will be so many mountains that it's just not possible to have only a few hundred meters of elevation throughout them. And here the funny thing is that I've been riding this course in 2020 and there was no Circle K gas station there, so things changes a lot. Actually, I believe that there was some beginning of building it, because there was some loop around this area, but that's how location changes. And unfortunately 2 years ago I haven't recorded most of the things, only took some pictures here and there, so I am fixing this issue going this time with the camera, so that way maybe 10 years after running this we could repeat the same track again with the camera on the chesty and just compare how everything changes. Maybe this bridge will be swept away with something futuristic like, who knows. But actually in this location, if I'm not mistaken, the actual course was somewhere towards the right, but because I knew that it has some stairs and basically it's not possible to ride there, I decided to take this path because I knew that it will lead us exactly where it should. So that's kind of a way to ride location when you know it from the past. So I made a decision and it actually was worth doing in this area. And yeah, you probably wonder why I'm talking too much about that trail. Probably someone paid me to do this video and explain what's good and what's bad. Actually not, it's just in the way I see that if I have that knowledge in some degree or just have some insights in order to share with everyone else, why not to do that? So if I have some thoughts or insights how one or the other area could be approached, I am free to share those insights, and that's just the way how I see things. So no, it's not a promo video for Vilnius100, but it maybe could be in the future or so, but no, it's not. And here we are approaching I would say one of the toughest areas of the course. And keep in mind that we started this 6 hours and 30 minutes ago, so we've been riding like for 5+ hours for sure, because yeah, it took some time to eat and all that stuff. But now we're approaching those mountains, having almost 100 kilometers in our bag, and 18 kilometers are left. So imagine that it's not that easy to go on those unclimbable climbs on your own, but we've been trying, we've been doing this, and it was in some times possible and sometimes it was not, but that's just the way how riding Vilnius100 trail is when you are doing that on mountain bike. I believe that once the hikers or walkers reach out this area, it's not even easy for them to climb here. So keeping in mind we have to carry the bike with us, yeah, it's a tough one, and I believe that everyone who tried to approach this area with a bike will agree, but at the same time it's definitely a nice location to experience. And talking about experiences, when I first time went in this location in 2020, I was just starting to ride mountain biking, so it was experience I probably will never forget, because it was so tough, even climbing on those, simply because you don't know what to expect up front. And as soon as you get to one top of the hill and you see that there are few more left, you go down, you go up, and once again it's never ending, because you don't have past experiences in general of climbing, as well as you don't ride that much. It was the most devastating area of the course. And as usual, Antanas very often decides to just walk the bike on steeper uphills and don't even bother. But of course, in this situation, he was riding the 36 tooth chainring. As me, I was doing that with 34 oval. So in that sense, it was easier for me to approach those uphills and harder for Antanas. But actually he made a very good job still, because he managed to climb most of those, and yeah, he survived it, even though in the beginning, as you could have seen in the first video, he said like 50 kilometers and I'm out. I'm going to drink coffee in Gariūnai Avenue and bye bye Thomas. So thankfully he didn't do that, and I was not left alone here. But you can see that those hills are really nice one. And the problem, as I mentioned a few times already, and maybe I will repeat it a few times again, is the leaves on the ground, because you kind of see that there are some car tracks from the past where they put the grooves and on the ground, and it's very hard to predict where they are. So that way, if your front tire slips into those and you're going downhill, I had that experience in the past, where once your front wheel gets into that hole, into that area of the course, so you can see that there were a few of those here, and you try to take it away from it, so either just raising the front wheel or just rotating outwards, it's not always possible, and if it's slippery, your front wheel will just slide, and guess who will slide with your front wheel as well. So yeah, you will be doing that the same thing as well on the ground. So I'm being a bit precautious, but trust me, it's better to consider those things before making something stupid. So if you are going in these locations, then it's unknown what's underneath, try to be aware that there are some issues underneath there. Why? So we can see that Antanas, even though he's struggling on steep uphill, he actually almost made it, and that almost counts. And at this point, 15 kilometers left towards the finish, we decided to take for a gel. That was the way to replenish our carbohydrates and continue riding there, because even though this location was actually one of the toughest in the whole ride, we still knew that there are few more await up front. It's a lot easier to look how we are riding here down than it was actually in reality, but I can't complain much because it was still a great experience. And here is probably Paneriai. We are going on top of a train station, yeah, on the bridge, so it's kind of one of the only areas where it's not possible to go around, and you just have to take your bike into the hands. So after seeing more than 100 kilometers of riding here in Vilnius, what is your opinion about the condition and overall trails in the city? So keep in mind that those are not specifically prepared trails to ride the mountain bike. Is just a way to explore Vilnius, mostly on the feet, but you can also do that on the bike as well. In my opinion, it's amazing. Here we are approaching one of the old roads left from the past, so it's actually old road towards second biggest city of Lithuania, Kaunas. So that was partially cobblestone road towards the top of a hill, and it was nice. I knew that here we are going down towards very steep slope, and we should be very precautious in order not to go too far away, because then there would be no way to stop there. So imagine that you're going down on those leaves, and you should be aware that if you brake too late, then you can just forget about braking for a while for sure, because it's very steep. It's even steep to go down on the foot, not talking about hiking the bike down at all. I'm not sure, maybe with some enduro bikes it would be possible to go down there, but because there is no actual trail to go there, because there are a lot of roots, a lot of stairs made out of roots, it's just probably at least hard to go there. And the good thing here is that now it's kind of used by a lot of people already, and it's pressed down a lot more, but 2 years ago it wasn't that way at all, and we could hardly hike the bike down. And we done stupid thing here in terms where we had to go, what we went down, we had to go back up, and technically we could have avoided this by going somewhere being at the top towards the left, but we decided that, well, if we are going this trail, we should go here on our foot. Well, was it a good idea? Antanas, let us know in the comments how good it was. For Antanas, it actually was too easy. I don't like that much hiking the bike, so whenever it becomes a bit less steeper, I always try to ride it. But you can see that Antanas is sliding over, and it's not that easy for him either. But yeah, because I was riding there, the gap opened up and I was not going anywhere fast enough. I'm more crawling here than walking, but well, moving at least a tiny bit in front is a lot better than not moving at all, right? So we managed to get to the top here. And Antanas made some jokes that it's very hard for me. Well, it actually is. The funny thing here is that one guy, Elvinas, decided to meet us here at the Gariūnai because I have shared a live track of the activity, and he just checked where we are, decided that those guys will take some time to go up there and join us to finish those remaining 5 kilometers. So that was very nice experience to meet him for the first time here on Gariūnai, and we actually rode the remaining part together. And you can see that this is camera from Antanas' tail, and you can see that from the chesty it's completely different story in terms of perception of the height and the grade, because once the camera turns to Antanas and it looks a lot steeper, and that's just the way how cameras work. So I have assumption in this case that because camera is a lot higher from the ground, that way the wide lens just makes it a bit different. And you can see that here Antanas is approaching the same area as I did, and you can see that it's getting down quite fast. What you couldn't actually say right from my camera. Thankfully, I used Antanas' camera very rarely because it would be very tedious process to edit everything. But yeah, I have some workflows how to do it, but it's still not the best way to approach things. And here's Elvinas riding with us together, and you could have seen once again that there was a mark towards the right and there are stairs. So who wants to go with the bike on the stairs? Unless they are not steep enough, you can ride it, but otherwise, why the high bike down? Then you can just roll the bike down. So I knew that there are some way to go down here, and even though it's pretty much steep and from the first sight you don't even see where it's going down, so I just stopped by to have a look, and you can see from Antanas' bike how it looked like, so I believe he just ran away here from this. Yeah, Antanas run over this down. And we 1 kilometer up to the finish, and it's going to end up really soon. So that was 100 kilometers trail of Vilnius. I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe you will have some ideas how you could approach this path on your way. If you have any questions or want to share your thoughts about the trail, the ways how to approach things, or just say hello, don't hesitate to drop a comment. And our way, if you like this type of content, you can always subscribe to the channel, and we will meet in some other MTB or just active health style videos in the future. So thanks a lot for your time, and as usual, I hope to see you around.
Antanui per vidurį gal buvo sunkiausia, turbūt po to pramušė, ne? Palauk, kažkas skamba.